Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here from CarterMatt.com.
And Jessica Carter, also from CarterMatt.com.
And we also have Coco Vanderwolf, who is going to try to get a little bit more screen time in this video than Ghost did on tonight's Game of Thrones. But within this video, we are going to talk all about Season 8, Episode number 3. We're going to review the Battle of Winterfell. We're going to talk about the awesomeness of Arya Stark. We're going to talk about my just Jorah-loving heart being smashed into a million pieces.
Everybody's Jorah-loving heart is smashed.
Jorah! Alright, well, I won't go any further, because obviously I've already ruined it, but there are still more spoilers to come, so if you have not watched the episode, I don't know why you're watching a review of it, but you probably should stop now before we venture any further. But anyhow, if you like what you're hearing here, give us a like and subscribe to CarterMatt on YouTube for more. We actually already have a preview video up for Episode 4 of Game of Thrones Season 8, and we will put a link to that in the description down below, as Jessica is so wisely indicating. Alright, so let's start big picture. This was one of the most anticipated episodes of all time. They filmed it for months.
Highly anticipated.
Like, in the mud, in the just grime, this was probably one of the worst filming experiences that any actor could possibly have. But, you know, maybe months down the road, they're like, I want to do it again. But anyhow, with all that hype in mind, where are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling like, with all that hype in mind and this big battle, it would have been really awesome to have been able to see it clearly.
Yeah.
It was real dark. And, you know, I get it from a filming standpoint that, like, oh, there, I just got left. That from a filming standpoint, it's easier to, you know, put together a really good look at battle. Battles are really hard to get those hits, get those cuts. You know, it's usually very quick cuts. You know, you're not actually killing people, and putting it in the dark, you know, will hide a lot of mistakes, or I'm not saying they made mistakes, but it'll hide a lot of, you know, things to make it look better, harder, faster, all that great stuff. But it was so dark that I was having a hard time. And, you know, I've never made any secret, I'm a huge, huge Vikings fan. They do battles better than anyone on TV. And if you want to fight me on it, go into the comments and we'll have a discussion about it. But I think that their battles that they do in the daytime are incredible. And I say that also as a Game of Thrones fan. I love this show. So for me, hype. Couldn't wait to see this battle, and then I couldn't really see it.
Well, I think the thing is, like, I know that the night is long and full of terrors, but, like, we also kind of got to see the terrors from time to time. And I think maybe this is in part like a hashtag West Coast problem, because I'm sure on the East Coast it's probably easier to shut the sun out from all your windows and, like, sit down and kind of be able to dive in and enjoy things a little bit more. But here, it's still daytime. It's still kind of hard to get that out. I had a tough time watching parts of it. I mean, I'm lucky that at least they did a good enough job of knowing, like, who for sure died, that I didn't come out of the episode just, like, not knowing which important characters were gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I was able to see that. Yeah. And, you know, for all my complaints about the darkness, there was some really cool stuff. And I get why they picked the dark, you know, because they wanted to be able to show the fire. And it was really amazing and, you know, really eerie, that moment. You know, we saw the Dothraki go into the darkness and all the little lights go out. Terrifying.
That did not go well.
No, that did not go
well. But, there were a lot of moments in this episode.
But exciting and horrible to watch.
There were, like, a lot of moments in here you're just like, I think this is going to be the end for everyone. This is George R. R. Martin. I know he loves killing people, but, like, this is going to outred the Red Wedding. But as it turns out, we did have some notable survivors. But I think the big surprise, really for the entirety of this episode, is how many people survived. I did not expect that we would come out of this with at least every one of who I consider to be, like, the top tier Game of Thrones characters, like the A-listers, the starting lineup. They're all still there.
They cheaped out. To me, they cheaped out. This is, a huge battle. This is a time, and especially for the Starks, you know, they haven't exactly had the greatest luck when it comes to staying alive on this series. I expected one of them to fall.
I'm gonna say this. I think what they should not have done, like, whatever on Lyanna Mormont dying. I love Lyanna Mormont, and it was an awesome moment. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Oh, it was a great was a great moment. She went down like a total boss.
Yeah, she did, and it was awesome. But I think you could have cut that moment and given Arya the heroic death instead, where she is the one who just, that moment with her and the Night King, like...
Yeah, but she, Cersei's still on her list. She still has work to do.
But somebody else could have picked up the work. I feel like Arya...
No, if Cersei... If Cersei's gonna die in this and it's not Arya, then Game of Thrones is canceled for me.
I don't know.
I need that moment. She has been training for this list, and yes, I know the Hound is still alive, and that's on her list, but they've had their issues now kind of resolved in their own way. Cersei is still on that list, and that's still a problem.
I would have been fine with Arya dying here. This is where we will disagree.
No, and I'm someone who, I'm not saying I'm not an Arya fan, but she's not the person that I was always like, yeah, and that I'm really into that storyline until tonight. Tonight...
I was all in on Arya killing the Night King. Don't get me wrong about that.
No, even before that moment where she barrel rolled down the stairs on top of all the White Walkers, I was so... down the Arya hole. She is such a fighter. I can't. And she's always been a great fighter. I have loved watching her story but this was the battle where we were going to really see what she had. And she can't kill hordes and hordes of these White Walkers, but man, that barrel roll, it was a moment for me.
Is Arya the MVP of the Battle of Winterfell?
Oh, well, for sure. She killed the Night King.
Yeah, I felt like there were some other rising candidates throughout the battle, but I think at least like Lyanna Mormont wins like the best player to come off the bench and like do a really good job, only to then die. But like,
yeah, and it sucks to lose that character, but we are in the last season. If we were going forward and we didn't have her anymore, I'd probably be a lot more mad. But
people got to go.
Yeah, people got to go, and one of my biggest complaints about this episode is the lack of sort of top-tier people. Everybody made it out. Come on.
All right, well, this is the thing, though. If we're going to have this complaint, you got to put someone on the list. You got to give us a character who you think should have died. I'm going with Arya.
Oh, yeah, you are going with Arya. I thought this probably would have been not an opportunity, but a time that we probably would have lost Sansa. And that's someone that, I really like and I really want to see on the throne. But they were all... I do not understand why they were all like, the dead are rising from the grave, so let's all go hide in the crypt. It was really strange, but that's fine. They had a very cool moment with it, so, it paid off. And, that's where I kind of thought after that moment with, Sansa and Tyrion, that she may have just gone out as a hero saving people. Let's talk about that moment.
Okay.
There's always been something really cool about these two characters together. They've gone through that, marriage that was forced on them, and he was always very good to her, and, she did the best she could in that situation, but then she left him high and dry, and, all that sort of stuff happened. But this moment between the two of them, when they were both hiding behind that crypt, and then they both pulled out their dragon glass, and then they just sort of had that moment where they were like, they touched for that moment. All of a sudden, I just went into the ship of these.
Oh, boy.
I know. I don't know what happened.
Is this Syrian? Is that what we call them?
I don't know what happened, but that moment, I was just like, these are the two smartest people on the show. Yeah. And now there's just like, there's such an understanding between them. They have gone through it all together, and... yeah, I want to see this union, and I want to see them on the throne together. Like, this is where I am. I know that I'm on this ship by myself, but I'm cool with that. That's all right. Anyone else shipping this, tell me in the comments. They'll be blank. That's fine, but you know what I mean.
As someone who has already said publicly in video form that cannot be deleted that I want to see Davos on the Iron Throne, I think I cannot fully subscribe to this idea, but... I will say there were two moments in this episode that like kicked me so hard in the gut that like all the tears just like didn't just pour out of my eyes, they just like shot out of my eyes like out of a water cannon. Like that was one of them, that moment with Tyrion and Sansa, just because it did mean so much to, I think, the people who like those two characters, and I think they are kind of two of the only people who really fully understand each other in this world.
I'm going to start crying on this video. I just loved that moment.
It was so good.
The barrel roll and these are my moments.
All right, now, as I alluded to earlier, my other moment within this, Ser Jorah being a boss at the end. Ser Jorah was really the Black Knight from Monty Python. He was just like getting stabbed. He pretty much almost lost a limb, and he's still there just like swinging his sword around. And
yeah, he was.
I actually thought for about a second that he was going to find a way to survive out of all this, and I don't know how in the world that would have been possible, but this was really his Russell Crowe in Gladiator moment where he's like going down, and at the end of Gladiator you kind of see a little bit of his afterlife, and it's like for Jorah, Daenerys is his afterlife. Like, this is the woman who he has loved. This is the story of Jorah in the friend zone for the majority of Game of Thrones.
It is, and this is the way I think that if he was gonna go out, that he was gonna be okay going out this way.
Yeah, he died doing the thing that he loves, which is protecting the woman he loves.
Yes.
And, and I could see...
It was a perfect death. It was very well written, very well acted. It was really... I know it sucked to lose him, but if you're going to lose him, again, we're in the last season, so, if there was more seasons, I'd be more pissed, but I'm not. So, this moment was magic.
Here's a good take. That scene, was that the best Emilia Clarke performance in at least the past 3 seasons of her just over Jorah's body, just like tearing up? And then like the dragon looked like it was emotional.
He's like hugging that. Yeah, that whole scene was put together so well. And, she was great. She's, again, not my favorite character because the character to me has become a little bit unlikable, but the actress is incredible. That performance was incredible. She always brings it to the table. Yeah,
it was just that just got me in so many ways. I mean, Jorah's a foundational character, so I mean, losing him, I feel like that's something that really means something. Let's talk our way through, though, the army of the dead, and by that I mean the actual dead people we lost, as opposed to the undead who apparently can come back whenever the Night King wants. But, okay, so we have talked about Jorah, unfortunately.
Yes.
We've talked about Lyanna Mormont.
Yes.
Let's light a candle for Mr. Theon Greyjoy. Okay, I know you have issues here. Let's charge right at them with the spear and see what happens.
I love Theon. He's one of my most favorite characters on this show.
Yeah.
He's someone who I've hated, I've loved to hate, I've felt sorry for, he's had some redemption. Like, he's been through it all, and I have loved every minute of him.
There's a butt coming.
And I loved his scenes with Bran, where, and I was worried in this last episode last week when he showed up and was like, I'm here to fight for House Stark. I was like, oh no, here we are. When he was like, I've left my family to come here and be with you guys. I felt like that was gonna end not so great for him. That this was the redemption, the end of the redemption arc, and it absolutely was. He fought like exactly how I thought he would. He's had training his whole life to be this, this is what his house is all about, sort of thing. The dead will never die and fight until the end, kind of thing. So, watching him in battle, and he's being an archer, he's, fighting with a sword, he's doing, he is really good at all of it. And then the last moment he's going to see the Night King across the field and just charge at him with a spear. Like, what did he think was going to happen? And the fight scenes before that were just so realistic with him, because he was, he's swinging a sword, he's getting tired, but he's still, moving through it and getting through it. And I love fight sequences where you see the characters actually getting tired. And that's one of the things that I really loved about Daredevil. And that, when he's fighting a lot of guys, you see sort of, he's getting tired. It's very physical to fight this many people off. So it was really cool to see that. Such a good job, really good job. And then he's just gonna pick up a spear and just be like, "Rah!" like charge at him. Like, who are you? I don't know what happened here. It was, I don't know.
Here's the counter argument to this.
There is no counter.
Theon has not made good decisions a number of times over the course of Game of Thrones. I mean, look at this guy. He is impetuous. He's reckless. He does dumb things occasionally. I still think it was unrealistic, and the character probably shouldn't have done that.
I just don't think he would have done that, especially with what he knows is on the line. I feel like everything he grew up with would have kicked in. I just don't think, he's just gonna go charging at somebody. That would be like if, I know Arya is not the same level of warrior because nobody's the same magic that, Arya has going on, but he has enough know-how that, that would be like me seeing Arya picking up a spear and like charging at somebody. Like, what happened here?
Okay, this is what, if I'm gonna try to justify it, not that I'm for sure trying to, but this is what I would probably think is going on here, that Theon, he wants nothing more than to actually be a hero and prove himself. The Bran, the Starks, everyone else. He's got a lot of pressure. It's in this big moment. It's the end of it. He knows he can win the game right here. And so he just does something really crazy and just, I don't know why I keep using sports metaphors, but he takes a bad shot. It clanks off the rim, and it's just maybe Theon's just not clutch in that sort of way. I don't know. But
that was a bit of a fumble.
Okay,
okay, I'm not a sports person. I don't know anything about sports. That's all I know.
It worked.
That's what it is. But yeah, that moment, I didn't buy it.
Yeah, but we love Theon. I'll miss Theon very much.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Okay. Yeah. Are you going to miss Beric Dondarrion and his trillion lives, or have you already forgotten that they killed him off?
I've already forgotten. No offense to him or the character. It's just that character has sort of like come in and disappeared for so long. Disappeared. Yeah.
I was very worried about the Hound, the Cowardly Hound, for like most of this episode, but like then I remembered the whole purpose of the Hound being on the show right now is to give us the Clegane Bowl, the Hound versus the Mountain. Yeah. We're getting it. It's happening. It needs to be at least 5 minutes, as I said in the preview video. So I knew we weren't losing the Hound, so at least that was good.
Yeah, there's that.
Okay, so we got 2 more notable people here I think we need to eulogize. Melisandre just turns into ash, and that's basically the end of this episode.
Yeah, I wasn't sure why she decided to make that choice, but here we are.
I think she did it because she realized she's lived a long life. Maybe she has suffered for the greater part of this, and she was only surviving so that she could put an end to this battle and fulfill her prophecy.
Yeah, she did, but she didn't necessarily need to go die afterwards. I mean, if that's what she felt she needed to do, and she did, this is another character that I can take or leave.
Yeah, I think she fulfilled her purpose, which was to be really, really weird, to creep everyone out on a number of occasions.
Yeah, and set everything on fire and, helped. So that was good.
Yeah, Melisandre, you proved to be valuable. Congratulations. And now you're still not going to be anyone's like top 5 favorite character, but you got a role. You did it. Okay, let's say farewell to the Night King. Like, this is where we need to bring out the sad music, because I'm sure everyone is very, very sad that a character who never really said anything, and I still don't really understand anything about whatsoever, is now gone.
Yeah, and I'm all right with it. The whole Night King and the, Game of Thrones meets The Walking Dead, I'm kind of zombied out.
Yeah, so, I get
it. The battle was great and it was all fun and whatever, but I'm more interested in this fight for the throne. So I'm ready to move into these next episodes.
Yeah, and they did a good job of misdirecting me, because I felt like entering the final season that the final boss was going to be the Night King, and that eventually that's what we were going to do. And I didn't really realize that in reality, the boss is Cersei. And
that makes more sense. Yeah. I'm way happier with that.
Yeah, I'm way happier with that too. So with that in mind now, where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do you want to see us go from here?
Like I just said, I want to see that, that fight for the throne. I want to see what's going to happen with, Cersei and Daenerys and who's going to actually end up on it, because I don't think it's going to be either of them.
Yeah, I think it's pretty likely that that's going to be the case. I think we're going to have a surprise person on the throne at the very end. And, while it is kind of a disappointment in one way that we didn't lose a lot of major characters in this episode, it does leave it open that a lot of people could still end up on the throne. And, these people who survived the Battle of Winterfell, they got to be tired. They got to be, not having a lot of food in their belly. They got to be kind of just wigged out. Like, a lot of these people could die at King's Landing just because they're, coming in hurt.
For sure. And, we saw that Daenerys lost a lot of her army. So that's also going to be kind of an interesting point of moving forward because now Cersei has this other army. So it's going to be interesting to sort of see where the numbers balance out now.
Yeah. And I think there's one other interesting question to think about that stems back from episode 2. Is Sansa going to be altogether willing to help Daenerys in this quest now? Because technically, White Walkers are gone. Winterfell could just go be Winterfell. They can just rule themselves, go about their merry way, and,
I don't think that Sansa's going to go back on that. I mean, Daenerys basically just helped save everyone. She wasn't the person who, Starks took care of Starks and they took care of, the North, and that's cool. But Daenerys played a role and Sansa knows it. So I just can't see her then being like, sorry for your luck, good luck. But, I'm still going to have a problem with you because you're going to come and try to take the North, and I'm not having it.
Yeah, I think she's probably going to be okay with it. I think they'll more than likely kind of stay somewhat unified, but you never know. It's Game of Thrones. I think crazier things have happened. But overall, I mean, this episode obviously had its problems. It had its clear visual problems. It had its Theon problems. It had its not enough Brienne of Tarth problems.
Yeah, for all of the, and now you're a knight and you're leading the charge.
Where was she?
Where you be at? Where are you?
Maybe Brienne was there the whole time, but it was so dark we couldn't see her.
Yeah, that's possible. I was hoping to see a lot more of her.
Yeah, I know. We got one of the coolest warriors, and I don't get that. But anyhow, this episode obviously brought a lot of content to the table. We lost some people, but obviously we want to know from you guys. This is an interactive. We are all a Game of Thrones viewing family here. What did you like about tonight's episode? What did you not like? Whose death are you the saddest about? Share all that in the comments, and if you like this video, give us a like and subscribe to CarterMatt on YouTube for more. And if you want to support us further, what can they do?
Oh, they can go to the store and pick up a CarterMatt shirt of our little dog here, who's also our CEO, and that link is in the description as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for watching, for checking out Game of Thrones with us, and we will see you here next time.